They told her no 4 times. 4 times she stood in front of men who looked at her like she was a mistake, like she had walked into the wrong room, the wrong building, the wrong life. 4 times she folded the rejection letter with steady hands and drove home on an empty highway, the dark pressing against the windows of her old truck, and she did not cry. Not once, because Maya Reyes had learned long ago that tears were a luxury she could not afford. She grew up in a border town where the wind always smelled like dust and diesel. Her father was a veteran who came home broken, and her mother worked double shifts at a laundry that left her hands raw every winter. There was no softness in that house, but there was love, fierce, wordless, and bone deep. Maya learned to shoot at 9 years old, standing in an empty field with her grandfather's rifle pressed against her small shoulder. He told her aim was not about the eyes, it was about the mind. About becoming still when everything inside you wanted to run. She carried that stillness into everything. And right now, if you're watching this, I want you to hold on, because what happens next is the part most people never get to see. The first rejection came when Maya was 22. She had passed every physical test, outrun 3 men in her cohort, and scored higher than 90% of applicants on the written assessment. The evaluator told her the team wasn't ready for her profile. She nodded, thanked him, and left. The second rejection came 6 months later. Different panel, same result. The third time, a senior officer pulled her aside and said quietly, almost gently, that she was wasting her time, that the program wasn't built for someone like her. She asked him what that meant. He didn't answer. She drove home, parked in the driveway, and sat in the dark for 2 hours. Then she went inside, made dinner, and started training for the next attempt. The fourth rejection was the one that nearly broke her. It wasn't the words, it was the silence. She had submitted her application again with updated credentials, 2 letters of recommendation from commanders who had served with her overseas, and a field performance review that called her instincts exceptional and rare. They rejected her without an interview. No explanation, just a form letter with her name misspelled. She was 30 years old. She had given 8 years to preparation. She sat at her kitchen table with the letter in front of her, and she thought about her father, how he used to say that some doors do unopen for you because they re-knot your door. And then she thought about the field behind her grandfather's house, the way the wind moved through the tall grass, the way everything went quiet just before she fired. She folded the letter. She did not throw it away. She pinned it above her desk where she could see it every morning. 3 weeks later, a new program coordinator named Lieutenant Colonel Sandra Voss reviewed Maya's file by accident. It had been misrouted to her desk. She read it in 10 minutes and called Maya that same afternoon. There was a tactical qualification assessment coming up, an unofficial one. No promises, no guarantees. Just a range and a target sequence that no applicant had ever fully completed. 17 shots, each one harder than the last. Moving targets, variable wind, decreasing visibility, and the final shot fired from memory alone, blindfolded by feel, by the stillness her grandfather had planted in her decades ago. Maya showed up before sunrise. She didn't speak to anyone. She stretched alone, ate a protein bar, and watched the sky turn from black to gray to gold. When they called her name, she walked to the line with her spine straight and her breathing slow. The first shot landed clean. So did the second. By the 5th shot, the other evaluators had stopped talking. By the 10th, someone in the back of the room had stood up without realizing it. By the 15th, there was complete silence, the kind that falls over a room when everyone present understands they are watching something that will not come again. The 16th shot was a moving target at 280 meters in a crosswind. She fired on the exhale, between heartbeats. It hit dead center. The 17th shot came last. The blindfold was placed over her eyes by Lieutenant Colonel Voss herself. Maya stood still. She felt the weight of the rifle, the temperature of the metal, the direction of the air on her left cheek. She heard her grandfather's voice not as a memory but as a presence. She fired. The room erupted. She was admitted to the program the following Monday. She became the first woman in her unit's history to complete Advanced Tactical SEAL qualification. She went on to serve 3 tours and train over 200 operators in close quarters precision under pressure. But the thing she spoke about most, in the quiet interviews years later, was never the 17th shot. It was the 4 rejection letters she kept in a box under her bed. She said they were the most important documents of her life, not because they told her who she was but because every morning she looked at them and chose, again, who she was going to be. If this story moved something in you, if you've ever been told no when everything inside you was screaming yes, then you already know what Maya knew. The door that keeps closing isn't always locked. Sometimes it just needs the right moment, the right stillness, and someone stubborn enough to keep standing in front of it. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you're in the middle of your own 4th rejection right now, don't you dare walk away from that field.